Hey guys, hey. So today we're going to create a Xylofone app, and this app basically allows the user to touch buttons, and every button you click creates a sound. Now we've created two apps of similar nature, the previous two apps that we created, and this is going to be a little different because the way I'm going to treat this app is not through pure coding, but through through a trial and error method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around as if I'm a novice, and I'm a novice actually, but I'm going to play around as if I don't know anything about coding, and I'm starting to create an app. So what would I do? And if I'm stuck somewhere, what do I do? And most programmers do this. They go to the internet, they search for options, they talk to their colleagues, or so there are a lot of options. So the first thing first that you got to do is you have to remember a couple of very good websites. One is Stack Overflow, and second one is the Apple developer community. Both these are great for you to post your queries and get answers to your queries when you're stuck. Just ensure that when you're asking a question in these forums, be very specific and very descriptive, and also tell them what you've tried already. So don't ask a single one-liner kind of a question, because that doesn't show that you're serious about asking questions. So show some ethics in terms of questioning as well. And then you should also contribute in these forums, because it's a voluntary forum. Nobody gets paid to answer your question, and it's basically all about open source community and the work that the open source community is doing. So let's just jump into it. The app that we're going to develop, the project files are there in my Git repository. You can download it from there. I'll put a link to that in the video. So the app that I've already downloaded has some basic features in it. So all the legwork has been done. We have created 7 nodes, and all these 7 nodes have been given different color coding. These are basically buttons with an action, IB action, which is linked to this particular guy. So what I've done is I've taken the button and given an IB action here. So this is what I've done, given the IB action here. Okay, and we have done that for every app here. So IB action goes in for everything. But the way I'm gonna differentiate this is this IB action would correspond to a different tag in the file. So this guy has a tag of 3, and this is a tag of 3 which is specified here in the view. And there is a feature called sender.tag in Xcode, which allows you to pick specific elements from your UI, okay, so that you don't have to create a complete different object for that, complete different method for that. So you can simply look at the tag property, and then you can attach that tag property to what you want to do with it. So here I want to play a sound, right? And to play a sound, you need to import some additional libraries. So UIKit is not the only library you need some additional library. So I'm not gonna second guess. Let's see what options we've got. So this is Stack Overflow, and you also have the Apple developer community. So you can go to Apple developer community or Stack Overflow. So these are 2 options where you can go, and in these options you can type your question, and somebody must have written something about it, so you can get your answers here. So you go and join the discussion here. Let me do the same thing. So I can say audio player, right? And somebody would have done some sort of research and already put that here. A better way to do that is go to Stack Overflow and type your question here. You can simply type how to play music in Swift 3, let's say, right? And oh, I didn't get anything, so just remove 3 and search Swift, because you might get something for Swift. And we got some options here, how to play music in, and let's just see if somebody has given a really good answer. you got to do the search in different methods to see. So what I'm trying to see is if I'm getting an answer where many people have answered that. So let's say example, how can I allow background music to continue while I'm still playing my app? So that's not my query. My query is simply about how to play music. So this didn't work, so I'm gonna say how to play sound in Swift. So I'm gonna move from music to sound, and now I'm getting a lot of options. It's saying creating and playing a sound in Swift. So I click there and I see I'm invited by this code. So there is an Objective-C code which is there, so I'll skip that because we are using Swift 4 now, and Swift is very different from Objective-C. And I'm gonna look at this. So there is a code somebody has written where you have to import a library called AV Foundation. I want to look for something which is a little more cleaner than this, and you can go around and see what people have put, and they very kindly put in the entire code snippet here. Sometimes you might find the codes are buggy, but most of the time people are benevolent, so they will not put buggy code here, and that's what you should also do. Respect the community. The community is what makes this whole journey really fun. So here we have got somebody who's downloaded another library called Audio Toolbox, so keep looking for things, and then you might find something which is really small. For example, see, look at this. Here somebody has created a class and this is really small, so this is something that you can pick. Okay, one of the options, and I'm going to go down and see if I get even better options here. So there are some options here. Somebody has created a version here, and I keep going down, and I'm getting so many options. Okay, so there are umpteen number of options. So let's just stick with one of those, right? So I'm going to stick with this, let's say, right? So I will copy this entire code, or I can copy the areas which is compatible with it. So let's look at our code and see what's common in this and common in this. So let's just keep it here and see if we can copy parts of our code. So already UI kit, we already have the UI kit. We have to simply add AV Foundation. So I'm going to import AV. So AV Foundation is imported. We already have the class view controller. We have the UI controller, UI view controller, and they also have another class property called AV audio. So I'm going to use that. So AV audio player delegates, and then he's opening up a var called audio player, and it's the initialization is done as such. Okay, and then you have the override function, which I also have. Just be careful about copying codes. Super view did load is also there, so that closes our parenthesis. And then there's a Zybe action where it says node pressed, and in node pressed within the function there's a let URL which he has created. So this is basically a constant which uses the following property. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this particular code within my node pressed function, and once I've copied this, I'm going to check for the parentheses and ensure that everything is covered well. So I don't want to end up having some areas where the parentheses are missing. So just ensure that all the files have the corresponding ending of parentheses. Alright, so here we have included this this particular code snippet, and let's just see what it does. So it says we are creating a let constant here called sound URL, which uses the bundle main property of the URL, and it goes to note. So this is good part because the file that they have chosen there is called note, and our file is also note. and they have done something called a string interpolation. So instead of using the only thing which is really is changing here is 1 2 3 4 5 6. So they have used that part of the numeric part of the note, and they have made that dynamic. So how have they made that dynamic? They have made it dynamic by including a property of the button called sender.tag. Now sender.tag, as I said, is a property of this button, and it represents the sender if you click and the particular tag. So if I press this one, then I become the sender and I become tag 3. If I press this one, then I become sender and tag 4. So he has directly inputted this particular property here. So the output is going to be note 4 when I click here, output is going to be note 3 when I click here, and the file is going to be an extension of wave. So we could have had a file with an extension of mp3, for example. So you got to be careful, and if you use mp3 it will not work, and if the file name is, let's say, xyz or something something something, it will not work. So you have to be a little careful of all these place. So now it goes here and says do, and this do catch statement is a new thing in Swift. So what they do is whenever they run a code, they and the contents of the audio player, what they do is they put it in a do catch statement. So if there is any error coming, this will throw up. So there is a error, print, the error statement will get printed. Otherwise the code will remain silent and you will not know which part of the code is broken. So this is a good method, I believe. So that's what they've done, and here they have included this function called audio play. So this function corresponds to this. So I'm just trying to see if the function that they've used, where have they created that? Okay, so this is the function that they have created here, audio player. Okay, and this is a different format, so you might not be familiar with this. So with this particular format, let's just try to run our app, and I prefer to run my app in iPhone 7, and I'm gonna click run, and now I should see my app running. So while we run our app, I just wanted to sort of recap what we have done. So we have gone to Stack Overflow, we have looked at some code snippets, we have copied the relevant library when we have copied the code within our player, within our code, and we have made changes wherever it's necessary. So this is very common for coding, and this is how most coders operate, and you don't have to write every line of code, but be careful when you copy the code. And the second thing is try to write as much as possible. Don't simply control copy paste or command C and command V, because you will not learn anything while you do so. And if you're stuck or if you've got any doubt, click option and you go to this particular property, and you can see the property here. It will throw up all the details of this property here, so you can view that. You can go within that, you can figure out what is this app audio player delegate, and Xcode will then take you to the Swift file and kindly open the documentation around that, and it will tell you what is this AV audio player and delegates and all about that. So this is what your reading will help, and I think this is a better method of doing, because instead of learning about the tools and then trying to figure where to use your tool, here you're building something and now you're breaking it apart. So that's much easier. And as Elon Musk says, you have to build a car and then break it down and tell people how the parts look like. Okay, so our app is ready. Let's just try to see if it's running. And so we can see that there is enough sound here. So our app is running. So that means the code is now absolutely perfect. Now the code is running, so you can go into option and check each part of the code to see what does this bundle main.url mean. So when you click on that, it will tell you what is a bundle. It's an NS object. What is an NS object? You go and click, so the documentation for NS object comes up, and then you read it, you understand that. So this is how a typical app is created in Xcode again, and this time I've made it really simple, and I wanted to sort of play it in a sense that we do some sort of research before we go and figure out the right code for it. So I hope you like this video. If you want more such videos, please do not hesitate to click a thumbs up. Thanks. Have a nice day.